From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye, the North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
It's a Friday. It's Friday.
Get in.
Friday. It's the end of the week, fellas, which, you know, we get to that point where we go, thank God for that.
Well, lads, I'm working with two legends now. We're going to rename the show The Two Legends and Steve, because I have just been onto Rye's YouTube, and I am amazed to see that he's had access, not just any old access, but access to the official press conference. And he asked the vital questions to Michael Carrick, and I've just retweeted it there on Twitter. So anyone who supports Newcastle, you can have a look. But honestly, I'm working amongst legends here. I'm going to have to up my game.
I told you we're going to rename the show the Three Leg Ends.
That's what it's going to have to be.
Yeah.
Yep. On Monday, the 3-leg ends and a curry. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
And on Tuesday, it'll be live from the toilet.
Please, mate. That's been my home for the past week. Do you mind?
Exactly. You'll have just recovered, Dave, and then it'll be back behind the door again.
It'll just hit it again.
Yeah. Well, it might actually in a bizarre bit of luck, stroke of luck, it might just cure me. It might just clear me out of food poisoning. You never know.
Well, I might do, lads, and I just want to apologise, because for today's show, lads, there could be massive amounts of silence. I'm going to apologise to the listeners as well, because the Ryder Cup has started. Oh my God, this is a dream. The
golf, man.
I can't wait for this, lads. I can't wait. The Europe versus the USA. It's teed off in Italy. The sun is beaming down. Hovland and Arberg have gone out against Homer and Harman. Hovland and Arberg are 1-up, but this has got all the hallmarks of a classic. Come on, Europe! Come on, Europe!
We got battered, didn't we? We got battered 2 years ago, didn't we?
We are going to win it this year. We are going to win it this year. The Solheim Cup last year was a classic as well, 14-14. Never been known, but unbelievable, Jeff.
It was a bit of a comeback from Europe as well, wasn't it, to level it at 14-14.
But that's going to prompt our first question today. Do you have a favourite second sport that you watch? Now, mine, golf comes a close third for me, but I do get excited about it, as you can tell. Boxing is definitely my second love after football, but I just want to know, anybody out there, what is your favourite second sport? What else do you get passionate about? Do you go to these other events? I go to boxing events, but the golf as well, I love watching it on the TV, absolutely brilliant, and the Ryder Cup is one of those moments. A bit like the Open, love watching the Open, been to the Open a few times as well, great spectator sport, but I'm excited about the Ryder Cup, lads.
I'm surprised tree felling wasn't on your list, mate. I thought that's what you Tynesiders, you Geordies love to do. Go along Hadrian's Wall and chop a tree down. On
NUFC Matters, we are going to do a T-shirt and raise some money and donate the money for that because that, joking aside, that has been the equivalent of somebody taking an axe to the Angel of the North or basically systematically pulling down the Tyne Bridge. That is an attack on our heritage. Whoever's done that, whatever the motives, need to be punished. That's not an act of vandalism. That is something a lot more serious. And for me, very disappointed to see that happening. That has been a place where people have gone to, to pop the question. That's where people have been just for family days out. It's where people have been to sit and draw and take photographs of it. There's a wonderful photograph there that somebody captured last year of the Sycamore with the Northern Lights behind it. It's part of our heritage, guys, and to wake up yesterday morning and to see that story develop, it's crazy. For somebody to take a chainsaw to that, what possesses somebody to do that? They need to throw the book at whoever's done that, and rightly so.
Apparently a 16-year-old boy has been taken into custody over it. So
exactly. I mean, whatever he's been arrested for, we don't know. I would find it very difficult to believe that somebody of that age would have the capabilities of taking a chainsaw to a tree like that. But you just don't know. But what goes into people's minds? And to be honest, lads, when Dave asked me to come onto this show, it's been a blessing for my mental health, because I usually sit and watch the news in the morning and end up arguing with the telly. I've literally been watching a particular news network this morning, which has had my blood pressure boiling. Honestly, this is like rehab for me, coming and doing this show every morning. I can talk about football for 2 hours. Have a bit crack with the lads and the listeners, and for me, it just gets me away from some of these events which drive me insane. So come on, let's have a good show. It's Friday. Eddie Howe's Mags are on a run. We've got Burnley at home tomorrow. Hopefully going to be able to continue that run. Everything in the Newcastle United garden is rosy at the moment. No talk of gardening for Newcastle fans. And Rye, Borough on the march as well. Two wins now, looking for a hat-trick this weekend. And Sunderland looking to get back to winning ways. We don't have a Sunderland correspondent. We're looking for one.
Hang on. Right, you know, Rye's pretty good with singing jingles and all that sort of stuff. Rye, can you give us a breaking news? Can you give us a breaking news jingle, please?
I can. I've got you. Ready? Breaking news on the Northeast Brekky. It's breaking news and Steve's finally happy. It's breaking news on the Northeast Brekky.
Breaking news. Hot off the press. We may have a Mackem.
No way.
We may just have a Mackem. Ted, Mackem extraordinaire. Needs to turn a few things round.
Extraordinaire.
He needs to get a few irons out of the fire just to free himself up. But he's going to be with us on next Friday's show, just as a one-off, ahead of then joining us permanently. So we may just have a bit of balance across the northeast.
We may have landed one. Look at us go. Look at us growing.
Look, it's taken some time. We saw Lord Lucan 3 times in the search for one single Mackem. But we may have just got there. So fingers crossed.
Fantastic.
So next Friday, and perfect timing, next
Looking
Friday, ahead of Sunderland Borough at the Stade de Loom. So we couldn't pass up that Friday. The eve of a Northeast derby without having Mackem representation. So there's some great news for the Cat followers.
And there was a rumour circulating last night that we might have a former Sunderland legend on this morning.
Yeah, and a Middlesbrough.
Yeah. There's only one issue.
Time down the borough.
There's only one issue. I came in the studio this morning expecting to see something on our WhatsApp saying, "Yep, everything's good," but I haven't seen it yet. So we will be chasing. We will be chasing that former Sunderland and Borough legend. Absolutely, and chatting.
There we go.
Hopefully, chatting around about 8 o'clock, just after the news. And that's right.
Okay, well, let's do something that we don't normally do and have a little bit of order this morning. And let's have the headlines first.
The headlines straight into it. Really?
Newcastle United.
Look at us go. We're professional.
Newcastle United's headlines this morning. Following Wednesday night's Carabao Cup visit, Pep Guardiola's side are next due on Tyneside for the Premier League meeting, which is in January. The Premier League have now confirmed no decision on which weekend that's going to be played, as it coincides with the seasonal fixture break. As it stands, one round of Premier League fixtures will be split up and played across 2 weekends, which is January the 13th and January the 20th. Newcastle's game in that round, the home one against Manchester City. The Premier League are going to announce the dates once TV companies confirm which games are to be selected for live coverage. It is strongly rumoured that Newcastle will be heading back to Saudi Arabia. I did say this yesterday. In January for some warm weather training during the winter break. The Magpies have enjoyed 2 trips to Saudi since the club were bought by the Public Investment Fund. And admission details for Newcastle United's European Under-19 Youth League tie against PSG next Wednesday have now been confirmed. The tie is a 3 p.m. kick-off at Gateshead International Stadium, and tickets are now on public sale. Priced at £5 for adults, £2 concessions, over 65s and under 18s. Advance purchase online only, no admission on the day and no cash turnstiles. And Newcastle United memberships and season tickets are not valid. There'll be a 1,500 capacity, limit applies, main stand only open, and the seating is unreserved. The gates open at 2 o'clock. So well worth it if you want to make a day of it. Go along there, go and watch that game. Get yourself along to Raval for a curry to support the Feeding for Families charity, and then head into town, have a couple of sociables, and then get yourself up to SJP nice and early. Get your voices ready to sing all those songs to put PSG and Mbappe off. That's the new headlines this morning.
Go on, Rye.
Well, we're off to Middlesbrough, and I hope you're all fantastic, safe and well, Middlesbrough fans. It's good to see you. Middlesbrough are off to Watford this weekend, buoyed with confidence after Michael Carrick feels Middlesbrough are starting to finally find their form as they progress into the fourth round of the Carabao Cup with a 2-0 win at Bradford. Michael Carrick said in his press conference yesterday that I was at, ladies and gentlemen, he said the players' approach to the game, their attitude to the game was right from the very start. I was very pleased and thought everyone looked very comfortable, did their jobs and looked dangerous. It was a good game for us, the atmosphere was great, and the game certainly meant a lot for the supporters. It's starting to come. It's starting to click, said Michael. It's starting to click. Can you hear more glorious words from the gaffer? And then Michael Carrick was also being left mightily impressed with Rav Vandenberg since his move to Middlesbrough in the summer, the defender showing all the right attributes to justify his lofty prospects in the game. Vandenberg joined Borough from PEC Zwolle in this summer, just days before turning 19. Having already made a name for himself in the Dutch second tier, the centre-back had some of Europe's biggest clubs interested in signing him, with Ajax, Dortmund, Bayern Munich and AC Milan all among those linked with him. One of the 12 summer signings, many like Vandenberg, who are considered to have their better years ahead of them, many have initially struggled to make big impacts as they adapt to new surroundings on the T-side. But with an air of confidence and maturity beyond his years, Vandenberg has made the step admirably, playing across the back four when needed and never letting his side down when doing so. Michael said, I think he told me he'd played right back once before Real Batis when Tommy got injured in pre-season, and then he's never played left back in his life and ended up playing there against Sheffield Wednesday midweek. He has the ability to do that. He's a really good footballer. He's clever, sharp, hungry, and has a great attitude. Talking about me and Rav is there, Michael Carrick. And Michael also confirmed, unfortunately, that this weekend might come too soon for Rav, as well as Marcus Forss and Alex Bangura. All of the three are still struggling to recover from their injuries. Alex Bangura with a hamstring obviously suffered in his debut, and he's unfortunately had to spend some time on the sidelines of the gym. But Michael said the leadership group are embracing Alex Bangura still while he's not on the training pitch, and making his adjustment to new club and life all the more very welcome. And that is your Middlesbrough news. On to Watford this weekend, buoyed with confidence.
Okay, let's do a bit of Sunderland news. Diddle-a-dit news headlines. We might have a Mackham. Yeah, Ted's going to join us next week on the North East Footy Breakfast. That's the most important Sunderland story of the day. Now, let's not forget, they're on TV tonight. They're on Sky. They've got a game at Sheffield Wednesday. And injuries have robbed the Black Cats of Pierre Ekwa, Bradley Dack and Dennis Sirkin ahead of the TV clash at Hillsborough. It was hoped Ekwa and Dack could recover in time for tonight's battle, but will now have to be continued to be monitored by the club's medical department. Ekwa hasn't featured since the 3-1 win over QPR after being forced into an early substitution in the first half, while Dack is yet to feature since that rather incredible 5-0 victory over Southampton. Former Sunderland owner, he's one for you, Steve, as well to listen to. Former Sunderland owner Sir Bob Murray has made a stinging attack on bitter North East rivals Newcastle United, saying the club's lost its soul after selling out to Saudi Arabia. In an explosive critique of the modern-day ownership of oil-rich states buying into football, the businessman said Newcastle risks becoming tarnished for generations by being a vehicle for Saudi self-promotion. And he fears some fans will actually turn a blind eye to money-rich, repressive regimes in the clamour for new signings and trophies. That's the Sunderland news. And I think the right of reply must be given to Steve Wraith.
Yeah, we are going to tackle this, by the way, on NUFC Matters on the Three Amigos at 5 o'clock tonight. But I am not surprised to see this story come out. Let's face it, Bob Murray's got a book coming out. What better way to promote your new book coming out with that? And I'm not going to get into a slagging match with the said journalist. I'm not going to give the guy any publicity. But the guy who has helped write this book has a narrative which I have watched with other Newcastle fans about the Saudi takeover, and this is the reason for me that this particular line has been chosen to promote the book, because he knew it would get traction. I think it's a cheap shot. I think it's pathetic. I think it's something which, you know, ultimately Newcastle fans have come to expect, and Newcastle United Football Club has come to expect. I don't expect the club to respond. I expect the club to say nothing. I expect Eddie Howe to be asked about it potentially this morning at his press conference. I expect Eddie Howe to do what he's done, since he became manager at the club, which is play it with a straight bat and say that he concentrates on football matters, not anything else. And I think it'll be left at that, because, as I say, it is. I work in the world of publishing. I've got a publishing company. I publish books. I know how to publish books, and I know how to publicise books, and that's what this is all about. It's disappointing. It's a cheap shot. Who is Bob Murray? Is my question. He's somebody that hasn't been in and around the game for years. He's a dinosaur. You could probably go on a holiday with Steve Bruce for me. But for me personally, I'm really disappointed to see this, and I just genuinely think that it's just a cheap shot to get publicity. But it's annoying. It's something which we've got to get used to as Newcastle fans. I don't remember, half of as much criticism when Manchester City were taken over. I remember a little bit, but it doesn't happen now, And if you want to start picking faults with regimes, have a look at yourself. Have a look at our country. Have a look at our history. Read your history books. Look at what we were as a country, and you'll be quite surprised. We don't have an unblemished record. Yeah, over the last 100, 150, 200 years maybe, but go back a bit deeper in time. We colonised, we try to colonise the world. For me personally, it's just a cheap shot, and as you can tell, it's something which I'm disappointed in, but not surprised at. And there's one or two other journalists out there who will constantly use the narrative. I watched again. I never named these journalists, but there was one particular one who was on a national TV slot late at night as a journalist, talking about the Ryder Cup. Which is something I'm, of course, excited about and looking forward to, which is taking place, starts today. And he managed to turn that particular conversation into Newcastle United's takeover and the Saudi takeover, and even brought Eddie Howe into it, saying that it was great to see the golfers, talking about the issues in Saudi Arabia, whereas Eddie Howe in his press conferences don't. No surprise, of course. This particular journalist is a Manchester United fan who, if you go back through his social media, Twitter, now known as X, was actually enthusing about Saudi takeover at Manchester United. The fact that the takeover didn't go through at Manchester United has obviously left him very bitter. The fact that Newcastle United have been taken over, so now he has this constant rhetoric against Newcastle United. It's sour grapes, and we're seeing a lot of this. I completely agree, right, about the points that are made about Saudi at the moment. They are learning, though. They need to correct their ways. There are so many issues which at this moment in time, need to be addressed, and Saudi say they're working on them, so we have to accept that. We were given time to change in this country. You have to give Saudi a chance to change in their country. And unfortunately, because it's Newcastle United, little old Newcastle United, who've been taken over by the Saudis, it's not acceptable. We're not from London. We're anywhere north of Darlington, aren't happy about Newcastle United's takeover, because it's those Geordies who should know their place, and that's where we're at, unfortunately, with a lot of the London press. Rant over, lads, rant over.
It is interesting, isn't it? And it seems to be the quick gripe for a headline is attacking the Saudi Arabian takeover of Newcastle. It seems to be the one that seems to stir the pot the most, and I think people do it for a good clickbait, as Steve has alluded to. I think it's unfortunate, obviously, if they are doing it, obviously, to promote whatever it may be, but unfortunately these days we see with social media and anything, whatever grabs a headline is usually not off guard as well. So we're seeing it obviously with the Sancho saga down at Man United, obviously Ten Hag, everything that you mentioned about Sancho seems to grab a lot of headlines, and if you mention Saudi takeover as well, that seems to grab the headlines as well. So sad that people can do and want to grab stuff that like that for a headline, but look, it's what sells, isn't it? I swear if I ever had a newsstand that sold only the good news, I'd go out of business. So it is a shame, but look, it's I think Steve's absolutely right. Sometimes it's just people trying to grab the headline, and we've seen it all too often on this show, haven't we? With Gabby Abong Lahore, a regular listener of the show, I know you are. We mention you most days. Obviously, you're a rife for it, and obviously a couple of ex-players as well. So, yeah, interesting stuff there, and not the best way to sell a book. To annoy a whole section of the Northeast.
Yeah, but it will get.
We're starting to shrug it off. Go on, Dave. Sorry.
I was just going to say it will get people. I was going to say excited is the wrong word, isn't it? It'll get people riled up. It'll do the rounds on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's perfect promotion for a book.
We're talking about it,
and there will be people and there will be people out there that goes, "Oh, I wonder what else he's going to say," or "I've got to read about that." So they will go out and buy the book. So perfect promotion, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what Bob Murray is. Bob Murray is he held in high esteem at Sunderland still? I don't know.
Don't know.
Is he? We'll find out from Ted next Friday.
I would think so. Because he masterminded the Reed era with Phillips and Quinn and that team that were up and they were climbing in the Premier League. And then the downward slide started after he left control of the club. So I'm assuming he would be.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Shoot a text if you're a Sunderland fan. Let us know because
we've had one. We've had one about Steve already. Know. Yeah. You can WhatsApp us. WhatsApp us your comments. 0330 or 043 2002 on the Northeast Footy Brekky this morning. 0330 043 2002. Sunderland fans, we'd love to hear your views on this. How do you hold the memory of Bob Murray in control of the club? Is he a bit of a Sunderland ledge with how he ran the club in his time of ownership, or is there a different backstory? Let us know. What's up the thoughts, because Ted's not joining us for another week, so we can't just ask him. 0330 043 2002. Just on that note, we got a message in overnight from Andrew. Don't know where he is, but he goes. It must have been this afternoon. It must have been yesterday afternoon when we replayed the breakfast show. He says, "Been catching up with this morning's show. Mystic Meg Wraith, more like septic Peg Wraith."
I know who Andrew. I know who Andrew is. He's a good lad. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for listening, mate. And I did come up with it. I did come up with a prediction, mate. 1-0. So keep an ear out for later on towards the end of the show when we will be making our predictions for the weekend, and you'll be excited with this one. You'll like this one.
It is a big weekend to look at, isn't it, for the Northeast? We've got all three teams in conjunction, but only Newcastle at home. Both Middlesbrough and Sunderland away this weekend. So a couple of tough trips there for the championship teams.
Come on, lads, give us your favourite second sports. Then I've told you mine as I sit here with the
go easy. So for me it's between NFL and AFL. Obviously, AFL is our local Australian Football League here in Australia. I'm a massive fan of Adelaide Crows. I was born in Adelaide. Actually, the same hospital Riley McGree was. Riley, how are you? My best mate, good to see you.
I thought Carrick was your best mate.
I've got a couple. All right, it's hard to keep a phone book these days. And the NFL, Dallas Cowboys, massive fan of the NFL in America. I love the hard-hitting sports and stuff like that, and just the spectacle that the NFL brings of the fireworks and the showmanship and all that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, love the AFL and the NFL. Dallas Cowboys, Adelaide Crows for me. But nothing compares to my football. But if I had to give it away, I could quite easily cheer on and love the AFL and the NFL just as much, because I get very passionate about those two footballing teams.
It's a real tough one for me, because I like several other sports. I like golf, love golf, love playing it badly, which I do, and that's because I pick up the clubs twice a year, and they'll never see the light of day again, so I'll never improve. I like my Formula One, but that was because of Lewis Hamilton and now Max Verstappen. Maybe I'm a plastic F1 fan, because now Verstappen's just dominating everything. I don't want to catch a clip of him on TV. I love it when I watch Formula One at the moment, hoping he's going to get a blowout with his tyre. That's what I do. So I do like a bit of F1. I like boxing, Steve. I don't mind a bit of boxing.
Strike me as a croquet man.
I love the cricket, because, of course, I was the BBC's commentator for Lara's 501 back in, was it 94, 96, something like that.
Love the cricket.
So I do like a bit of cricket, particularly when when we've got the likes of England doing well, which has to be. I'd have to choose my moments carefully, but it's not a bad run they're on at the moment. Yeah. Ben Stokes, I mean, what a hero. And it was the weather that deprived us of taking the end back. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a really, I agree, really tough one, mate. But look, football absolutely dominates my life, cut me in half, and there's footy blood right within.
Okay. Yeah, well, it's interesting. For me personally, though, as I say, the boxing side of things is great. It is something that still gets you out of your seat, especially if it's in a highly anticipated fight that lives up to expectations. Then that's what you want to watch. You know what I mean? It's like Deontay Wilder against Fury. Yeah. was a wonderful fight. The trilogy was is something that you want to see, and you'd love to see Fury versus Joshua. Those kind of things really get the blood boiling. Nigel Benn against Chris Eubank back in the day, and any Mike Tyson fight was a spectacle. So but even some of the local boxers over the years. I mean, I was involved in the pro game for 9 years, and I had a few Northern Area title fights I put on up here, and best ones I remember were in Darlington. I had some great shows down at the leisure centre down there. So yeah, look, it is a favourite second sport of mine. But you are right. I mean, nothing quite it doesn't get you with football. I do a podcast 7 days a week. I do the breakfast show 5 days a week. I just love talking about football and giving an opinion. Yeah. And we've all got opinions, and I think the beauty is that it's just the way football gets you, isn't it, lads? It can raise you up to the biggest high, and it can take you to the lowest of the low. Really.
And I've been to a few big bouts as well. I was in the super tent in Eston, Middlesbrough, for McCrory against McAteeny. Do you remember that one?
Wow, so that's going back a bit.
It is, isn't it? So I was in there, and then my business, we had to put a load of TV facilities in for ESPN in the Venetian in Macau for the Pacquiao-Rios fight. So I was almost at ringside for that. I was a few rows back from ringside for that, and that was amazing. I mean, Pacquiao, what a man! It's a fight that should never happen because Rios was defending all the time, and when he threw a punch, there's no guy in front of him. Pacquiao would have just danced round the side and then clobbers him. He just couldn't hit him. It was so one-sided. It was unreal. It was an exhibition to watch somebody of that ilk. But it still doesn't come close to footy. Nowhere near coming close to footy.
Definitely not.
Yeah, I don't think anything gets me up like that with football.
No,
like you said, the ups, the highs and lows. You know what I mean? I've never think I've cried or screamed as loud as I have, for the Borough and the football. So. Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a different type of passion, isn't it? I mean, I love these other sports just like you love the Ryder Cup, and I might have to tune in. I know it's going to be at silly o'clock for me, but I might have to. I don't mind watching a bit of golf, especially when the weather's good. So, it's just, but nothing will ever, trigger my emotions as much as football does.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, fellas, let's take a quick break. Let's get out the way now, because there's plenty more to come, including Rye's exclusive press conference interview with Michael Carrick. What about that? That's how big this show is becoming.
I know.
That's how big it is.
Private jet.
Yeah.
Took the private jet, flew overnight.
Magnificent. It's a pity it's not a TV show, because let's just say the video that goes alongside this, the visuals of that interview are quite impressive, and it includes a rather strange blue wig. But there you go. You might be able to go on YouTube and find it. We'll do all of that and much more on the Northeast Footy Breakfast next. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the three legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
My first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester, it was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
Across the Northeast, it's the three legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
Steve and Rye. The Northeast Footy Breakfast.
Right across the northeast, the Red, the Cat and the Toon.
I remember years ago, someone told me I should take caution when impossible.
Oh yes, let's. Oh, hang on, I wasn't supposed to do that. Get off. Ooh. Do you know if there's a button we have to press?
James in your ears.
There's a button we have to press. If you don't press it, then the next song comes on. So failed miserably this morning. I shall leave the show to you for the rest of the day, and I will go and have a lie down in a darkened corner with my head bowed. There you go. Oh, there you go. See what happens. Anyway, there you go. Let's kill it. Right, we're back, fellas. We're back. Promise. What we're going to do
Come
now.
on then, watch this interview that you've done. What is it? Let's get this out the way.
Well, apparently I've taken the so those that don't know, Northeast Brekky show, it's going gangbusters. We've hit the highs already. We've got private jets to our names, and thanks to Steve and the Saudi money, as he's alluded to earlier in the show.
Don't start us off again.
36 minutes.
We've managed to secure a private jet, and I've flown over, and I managed to do a few questions of my own to Michael Carrick. I've been listening to the press conferences over the past couple of weeks, and I just wanted to get my own questions across to Michael, and he was very good in response, but he did end it quite sadly. I was quite upset with the way he ended it.
Okay, then let's do it. Here is Rye's press conference interview with Michael Carrick, according to Rye.
Morning, Michael. Rye, Wake the Neighbours News, W2N. Just wanted to start off my questioning with this drawing I've done of Riley McGree. I just want to know your thoughts on it.
Draw's the draw, I don't want to say it's a good draw or not a good draw.
Yeah, no worries, Michael. Do you think I can just get better then, or...?
Yeah, still a long way to go,
Just wanted to confirm, Michael, as well. I've seen a few posts on social media saying that you and I are best mates. I know. I just wanted to see if you would confirm that here and now for all the people. Oh, sorry. Are you sick of me asking that?
I didn't say I was sick of you asking.
Michael, just wanted to ask as well. I'm sending a lot of pictures over to Riley of best friend hangouts and stuff we can do when he's back here in Australia. Is he getting the pictures?
He's seeing the pictures.
Thank you, Michael. Last bit from me. I had a haircut midweek, and I just wanted to know, is it a little bit too short, or
maybe a little bit longer?
Okay, I'm going to make a cuppa as well. Do you want the tea bag in for a short time, or
maybe a little bit longer?
Thought you might say that. And do you want me to warm it up in the microwave real quick, or
maybe a little bit longer?
That's all I got for you today. Were those good questions, or?
Wow.
Boring.
Call me boring.
Boring.
Call me boring.
Boring.
Wow, that is an exclusive, guys.
What access Michael gave me there, hey? And likes his tea nice and warm, does he? Just a reminder out there to anyone working with Michael that likes his microwave a little bit. His tea a little bit longer in the microwave.
Yeah, a little bit longer.
But yeah. Hugely impressed with Michael and his answers there. I thought he was on point. I hit him with the hard stuff early on.
Yep.
I'd done a drawing of Riley McGree, and look, sometimes people want to know about injuries and the games, and what's Michael doing on the training pitch, and that's all just regular stuff. You know what I mean? I was there for the hard hitting stuff. You know what I mean? I needed to know how my haircut was looking. You know what I mean? And Michael was he obliged.
Unbelievable. Let's hope we'll have more of these exclusive interviews only on the Northeast Brekky show. And on Rise channel, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you want to, I mean, the pictures go along with it as well. So if you need to have a look, if you really feel that you want to have a look at the interview in all its glory, including the blue wig towards the end, then all you got to do is get onto was it Invictus on YouTube?
It is
Invictus.
If you really want to see that Rise got a face for radio, tune in.
I do. I have said that I've got a large head and a big head for radio, so I've always been told, and it has come true. So all those teachers that said, "Right, the only face you're going to have is one for radio," and you know what, teachers, you were right. So very interesting that teachers seem to know the best.
I just want to
go on. I wanted to get into some breaking news, lads, because we spoke about it yesterday.
This means we're going to go off a tangent again. We're planning this show
again. Another tangent, and then we'll get back into Steve's done the reel for today, ladies and gentlemen, as well. So it's hard hitting subjects that I'm taking.
I've had a question on this. I've had a question on this list for 3 weeks now, and I still haven't been at last.
We can't keep up. There's not enough hours in your morning breakfast for us to be in your ears. But I tell you what, Aston Villa and kit manufacturer Castore are now expected to agree an early termination of their contract amid the breaking news, obviously, yesterday that we spoke about right here on the Northeast Brekky Show, that the players and the whole club are unhappy with the wet look shirts that have prompted complaints, obviously, from everyone. So Castore about to lose and agree an early termination of their contract with Aston Villa. So breaking news there. So
is that how powerful
we are looking for a new...
Sacked in the morning. They're getting sacked in the morning.
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and the deal's now up. It's done. It's been torn up.
Castore were listening, and they said, we can't have that. The Northeast Brekky is all over us. And, Castore have lost it. So have you guys ever heard of or seen before a club changing kits midway through a season?
Only with Castore. It really is. It's getting embarrassing this now. I mean, that's Wolves, Aston Villa, Newcastle all having issues. We talked about it the other morning. This is no surprise to hear this particular news breaking this morning. I just it beggars belief. It really does. I think you probably get better quality in the wet markets in Thailand with getting three tops for 30 quid than you do at the moment from this particular brand. They just let themselves down because the actual designs. I've said this before, the designs that I've got hanging in my wardrobe, I've got all 3 Newcastle tops this year. I'll probably go and buy the training top because the new training top, it's a bit funky. It's the kind of thing you'd wear at the gym or out when you buy the pool on holiday. But I do actually like the designs, but it's just there's mass unavailability. There's design faults. When they send it out to you don't always get the right strip. You hear stories of people ordering a Newcastle top and getting an England top, like an England rugby top in the post. It's not what you want. It's not, it's just not very good service. And I
thought your top looked all right this year.
Yeah, I think our tops are great. I think the Newcastle home top's lovely. Yeah. I do like the green one because it gets up people's like Bob Murray's nose. I do like the blue one, which we beat Sheffield United 8-0 in. Ultimately, I'm quite happy with our tops from Castore this season, the designs, but it's just the actual, delivery and I mean, you go to the shop. I mean, a kit launch, there should be ample shirts available, north, south, east, and west. You're going in, you're seeing people they can't get one for love nor money. And certain they're not catering for certain sizes. There's some rather big lads in our support who couldn't get like the shirts that they wanted, and for weeks and weeks and weeks they can't get one. They did it to America pre-season. No merchandise available to anybody in America. That's got to be a missed opportunity, Castore. Come on, man. You've got thousands of people turning up at the Atlanta Stadium, 60-odd thousand people. 25, 30,000 of them are Newcastle fans or potentially new Newcastle fans. They couldn't buy any shirts. I mean, who on earth's in charge of the marketing side of things? It just doesn't make sense, lads. It just doesn't make sense. So if they're doing that with Newcastle, they're doing it with Villa, they're doing it with Wolves, they're doing it with etc., 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 then they're also losing money themselves. They're losing credibility, they're losing money, and now they're losing contracts, and that just doesn't bode well for a company. I mean, it really doesn't. And I think with Newcastle fans, there was a sour taste as well because we were left with this deal. We were, Newcastle United. I don't know the full ins and outs. I've not seen the contract. I've heard plenty of rumours circulating though. Some people always felt that, Mike Ashley did this deal deliberately. He left Newcastle with like this huge deal with this shirt company that they knew they wouldn't want. And, it doesn't affect him. He sold the club. But from our point of view, it just meant we were stuck with this problem. But now, thankfully, we've managed to get our way out of it. However we've done that, this is the last year with Castoria, and Newcastle United are reuniting with Adidas and roll on that. It means we're going to spend more money on shirts, but it'll be shirts that we like.
Can I let you into a horrendous little secret?
Yes. Go on.
Hanging up in our production office downstairs where we make TV is a current season Newcastle United top.
I'm sorry.
Ooh,
it's surrounded by 18 Borough shirts, but there is a Newcastle shirt in the office.
It'd be buried by them, I hope. You know what I mean?
Whose is it? Whose is it?
It was purchased.
By who?
What?
Can't tell you.
This is breaking news.
Can't tell you.
In the Red Radio, down in Middlesbrough, right across from the view of the Riverside Stadium, there is a Newcastle United shirt. I don't believe it.
Right, don't go big on it. Don't go big on it. Right. Don't go big on it. We would like the building. We would like the building left standing by the morning. Thank you.
I'm in shock. I can't believe it.
I tell you what, during the news, I will wander downstairs to the production office. I will take a photograph and I will provide visual evidence.
Oh, wow.
Just to you guys. We're not putting it out there. We're not putting it out in social land. Just to you guys.
Get on the X if you need to see that, ladies and gentlemen. But
all right, lads.
Obviously, just to
I'm going to get this topic in. I want to get this topic in.
Go on,
Stop the story. Don't bring anything up about Man United. I'm talking about this because I want to get it off my list.
What about Jadon Sancho this morning?
No, I can't believe it. Signed a deal with Castore, he did. Completely under...
Right, I'm going on radio silence.
Go on.
Steve,
what
the
is
are yours?
This is a Newcastle, Sunderland, Middlesbrough show. We also look at all the other northeastern clubs. So I want to know. The FA Cup is coming up. But what is the best ever northeast centre forward partnership of all time?
Wow.
This can be any club,
northeast.
and you've got to give the text. You've got to give the text one out for this, Dave, because this has got to create debate.
Okay.
It's got to create debate.
Okay.
So for me, let's go back to the 70s first with Newcastle.
But just before you do, get that number out. 0330 043 2002. Steve's question to you this morning, the whole of the northeast, that's Mackems, Mags and Smoggies. What is the best attacking partnership ever? Is that in the northeast? That's northeast 3, yeah?
Yes, just northeast only.
Northeast 3. What is the best attacking pairing ever to grace the northeast? WhatsApp number 0330 043 2002. What are your views? Steve, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go 70s first. Ooh. Super Mac.
Yeah, it would be.
And John Tudor.
Wow.
Okay. Those two banged in a lot of goals together. Great partnership. The 1980s, I'm going to go Keegan and Beardsley.
Oh, some names there.
1990s, I'm going to go Shearer and Ferdinand.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You know, with these names that are coming out, Steve, how come Borough dominated northeast football for those decades?
Well, so you say.
And Blackburn.
Now in the noughties, things aren't as cut and thrust. But I'm going to chuck a curveball in for Newcastle fans. Come up with a better one in the noughties if you can. I'm going to go Demba Ba and Papa Cisse.
Oh, I was going to say the same. I was going to say the same.
So there you go. I've gone back to the 70s. Can Borough, Dave, Right? Can you go back to the 70s with Borough?
Oh, I don't know if you've back to the 70s.
You've had 3 weeks to think those names up. Come on, give us half a chance.
It's been on the list for 3 weeks.
I don't know if I can go back that far.
Wow.
Jeez, I don't know. In my time, though, the immediate one that's
Big John Higton in the 70s. Big John Higton in the 70s.
Yeah.
Who was he alongside? That's the question.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, Massimo, you know what I mean?
Massimo?
Remember Massimo? Oh,
Didn't
my
score a great
goodness.
amount, but when he did, it counted.
Didn't it count? But the best partnership for me, Yakubu and Viduka. Remember those two? When Yakubu and Viduka were both in thing? Obviously, Viduka was marred by injuries, but when Yakubu and Viduka were on target, oh my goodness. But I'm gonna please, Borough fans, tune out, lock your ears, because this is gonna shock you, and I do sorry, but I have to agree. One of the most amazing partnerships I've seen in my time is Demba Ba and Pape Cisse. That was incredible when those two were firing. I know, and I apologise. Please cut it out. Editors will say it's not true. I will take that to my grave. You'll never hear it from me again. But that was when those two were on. In my era, I've never seen anything like it. But yeah, incredible when those two were on for the Northeast. When they were those that was on, it was wow. But for me, I'm gonna say, and because I've edited it out, and you're gonna need a real answer to be played over the top. It's Yakubu and Mark Viduka together. Oof. And we had Hasselbank on the bench. That was the days. Remember that? That was the days. Now we're playing just poor old Joshy Coburn up by himself.
2005.
Oh.
UEFA Cup final.
The
Remember
strike
that?
force. It's a dying breed, isn't it? The strike force, I reckon. The 4-4-2. You know what I mean? We don't see the two strikers up front anymore.
I will equally be burned at the stake this morning, charged with heresy, because same era. I've got another pairing to throw at you two guys, and it's not a Borough pairing.
Oh, no.
Phillips and Quinn.
Oh.
Yeah. They've got to be up there. They've got to be up there. And you've got, unfortunately, as cold sweat drips down me brow, takes me back to that horrendous night at St James's Park, 1989-90. Gabbiadini and Gates.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Eric and Marco.
Yeah.
Two great players who really played well alongside each other.
Yeah. That's not as bad.
Well, I've got another one for the 90s. I've got another one for the 90s.
And Peter Reid as well.
They weren't a centre forward pairing, but it was a number 9 and a number 10. Rye, you ready for this one? It's going to make you're going to fall off your chair with this one when you just gush with pride.
There's radio silence.
Ravanelli and Juninho.
See, thoughts on that one?
I thought that, but I didn't consider Juninho as a striker.
Well, he was a number 10. He was a number 10.
You know, I know.
He just kept feeding. Right. He just kept feeding the Rav, just like you want to feed the goat. He just kept feeding the Rav, and the Rav would just stick it in. He certainly did. His debut against Liverpool at the Riverside, he scored 3.
Yep.
He scored a hat trick.
Yep. No, I completely agree.
Beardsley and Cole.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That was a really good partnership. Although Beardsley, when you do a Q&A with him, will always point to Scott Sellers as being the biggest supplier for Andy Cole. He always says it wasn't him; it was Scott Sellers. But that's always a big one.
Andy Cole was amazing. Honestly, I've never seen a better striker in my time.
What was the song? He gets the ball, scores a goal or something.
And if we're talking, I must say Thierry Henry for me is just one of those ones. But obviously Northeast not bound, but. For Northeast, Andy Cole, my goodness, what a legend he was. Oh, my man, watching that man play, and I remember watching him mainly probably in that Blackburn era. I think that's when I started falling in love with football and stuff. He'd just come off the back of Man United, and obviously prior to that, Newcastle. But, Andy Cole, what a player he was, my goodness.
I tell you, we've got Craig Bellamy coming back to St James's Park tomorrow with Burnley as well, and he created a bit of a partnership with Alan Shearer.
He did. Craig Bellamy was a little like what do you call it? Like a little Jack Terrier, wasn't he? Just he was always there, angry little man, and just always popping up. I think he was definitely one to watch. Was Craig Bellamy? I used to love watching him do about it.
Here's your top 5 at Newcastle, right? 2000 season, Shearer and Duncan Ferguson scored 40 goals between them. 1996 season, in 4th place, Les Ferdinand and Peter Beardsley, 40 goals. 2002 seasons in 3rd place, Alan Shearer and Craig Bellamy, 41 goals. In 2nd place, 1997 season, Shearer and Ferdinand, 49 goals. But the winners by a country mile, top of the league, 1994 season, 65 goals, Andy Cole and Peter Beardsley.
Jeez, that's a wow.
So interesting that.
I've got a 70s one to throw into the mix from a Borough perspective. John Hickton and David Mills.
David Mills.
Britain's first £500,000 signing, wasn't he, Millsy?
Yep.
Scored the goal that got Newcastle promoted in 84. It's a good quiz question, that, because a lot of people would think Keegan Waddle-Beardsley would have got the goal. But Keegan was injured when Newcastle played Huddersfield away, and Newcastle got a 2-2 draw at Huddersfield. David Mills got the goals, and that got Newcastle promoted that season in third place. So bit of a legend on Tyneside as well, Millsy.
Is he really?
Well, for that, in amongst a certain generation of fans,
Could you throw, Dave, Chuba and Archer in there? Last season?
That was the first pairing that came to mind. I mean there was 40 goals between them. Recent.
I've never seen more goals scored between two. And I mean, Chuba obviously played, again, he was in that 10 role, but in all defensive adversities, he's a striker.
Yeah, there were two strikers effectively, weren't there?
And it was
Janino
Archer,
was definitely a midfielder.
I've never seen anything like what we saw last season in Chuba and Archer together. So for me, that's got to be up there as well. I know when I look back at, in a couple of years' time, I think it hasn't sunk in how good that was, what we had last season, I think, for me. So yeah, Chuba and Archer for me has got to be up there as well. Obviously in more recent times, but and then of course, what about Chris Boyd, Scott McDonald, and the Gordon Strachan
Willow
era,
Flood. I felt sorry for Willow. Yeah.
We've had a couple of tweets in. I stuck it out on Twitter. Dunnell, who's a regular listener, he says for Newcastle, Tudor and McDonald, which is one I mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
Morning to Mark Ferrell. He says Shearer and Ferdinand. He says it's criminal that they only had one season together. And David, I like the cut of David's jib here. He says Cole and Beardsley at Newcastle, Phillips and Quinn at Sunderland, and who cares about Middlesbrough?
Right.
We're playing music for the rest of the show.
That's it. The show's over. We got a jersey to deal with downstairs. That's it. I'm all over it.
Don't be doing anything rash with that, mate. Don't be doing anything rash with
question.
that.
Very good question to lead into the news this morning, because that's got me thinking. But yeah, look, and Sunderland, obviously, we haven't, we've got the man coming in next Friday potentially to defend the Mackems. But as Sunderland fans listening in, let us know what you would probably reckon your best ever strike force has been forever at the Sunderland. And obviously, a good shout just before, but in recent times.
You mentioned, you were just going to say recent times we don't seem to have partnerships anymore. I mean,
we don't.
I think Liverpool probably, they had just such an amazing forward line, didn't they? And it was interchangeable. You had Mane, you had alongside Salah,
Suarez and all that.
Firmino, you had Suarez. Incredible. I mean, Liverpool back in the day as well in the 80s. I mean, there was no rivalry as such back in those days.
No.
You didn't hate the team that was doing well. You supported your team, but you didn't hate Liverpool, who used to win everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, Liverpool had they had Ian Rush.
They
had Ian Rush and John Aldridge. At some points played at the same time. You had John Barnes. You had Peter Beardsley. That was an amazing era of Liverpool players at that time. But they used to play with a front two. 4-4-2 was the go-to formation, wasn't it?
It was, and we don't see it anymore. I can't name a team current that still rocks the two strikers up front. And if you do, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is the majority of teams we face in the championship or come across is playing that lone striker. The strikers is a solo job now. We see Joshy Coleman at Middlesbrough. We obviously it was Joe Bellingham down at Sunderland as well. Now probably Rushin or the youngster from Chelsea. So it's interesting. You see Newcastle as well. Obviously they've got attacking flair at their disposal, but we never see Isak and Callum Wilson on the same pitch either. So it's just one thing that just doesn't seem to be done anymore, is it? It's just which is incredible to see when you got Wilson, who's got a better goal average per 90 than Haaland. And you've got obviously Isak, who's obviously, setting, goals alight. But I don't think you'd ever see, would you, Steve? Would you ever see on the same pitch Isak and Callum Wilson as a front two?
He's been asked about it many times, Eddie Howe, and it's something he has done occasionally, but it's not something he would choose to do on a regular basis. He likes the way that Newcastle play with a high press. There's they've got a tight defensive lineup, and the midfield can push on and attack. We've seen it against Man City the other night, absorbing the pressure and then changing the personnel in the second half to dominate and win a game. It's not something he does. He doesn't play 4-4-2. He's a modern day manager. We've seen Man City operate without a centre forward at all, and win the league. So it's not modern day football, I'm afraid. It's of a certain era. Will it ever come back? It potentially could do. There'll be a manager somewhere who'll go, I'll go back to 4-4-2.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd love to see the era of Henry and Didier Drogba and that again in the Premier League one day, because my goodness, were those good times. Will we ever see a striker in the Prem scoring 30, 40 goals for their club again, with the way football's going and how defensive it is?
Well, Haaland's making a good fist of it.
He is.
He's a freak, but he's making a good fist of it. Yeah, absolutely.
He is doing it solo as well. So.
Yeah. Right, fellas, news time. We almost got there on time, but we've still got some ads to play first. So we're late. So, tradition now, isn't it? Coming after the news, we're going to be focusing ahead to the weekend, which begins tonight for Sunderland. Woo! So plenty more footy talk on the North East Footy Breakfast. And maybe, just maybe, we might have a North East Footy legend. But then again, maybe not. We'll see. We'll sort it all out after this. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the North East's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the three legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the North East Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity, what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
A first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing it.
Across the North East, it's the 3 legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon.
Hey! Steve and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
The Cat, the Toon and the Red.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swarwell to Silverlink. Steve and Rye. The North East Footy Breakfast.
Right across the North East. The Red, the Toon and the Cat.
I've been holding on to pieces, swimming in the deep end, trying to find my way.
Nice. Bit of Tom Grennan and a little bit of love. It is the North East Footy Brekky. We have live from down under, it's Rye.
Morning, beautiful British people. I love you.
What time is it over there?
Fantastic, safe and well. It's just gone 5 p.m. here, actually. I'm about to crack a beer and celebrate me Friday night in style, and then see if I can make it up late enough to watch Sunderland tonight, obviously kicking off the football weekend on the North East. Sheffield Wednesday versus Sunderland tonight. Should be an interesting tie down at Hillsborough.
Ridiculous o'clock for you to watch that one. And we have Steve Rith. Morning, Steve.
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Sorry for the pregnant pause there. I'm just we're up to hole 7 now for Europe versus the USA in the Ryder Cup. By God, I wish I had some of that sun that the people are standing there in their shorts and their t-shirts
Looks amazing.
their
I've put it on the
baseball
second
caps.
screen.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? It's absolutely great. Nothing better than the Ryder Cup to get you up on a cold autumn morning in Tyneside. But Newcastle, of course, looking ahead to a game against Burnley tomorrow afternoon. A good old-fashioned 3 o'clock kickoff, chaps. That's what you want, isn't it? You really want a 3 o'clock kickoff. No television coverage for this one, of course. You'll have to go to Match of the Day or catch up on Sky later on. But yeah, it's a big game for Newcastle.
Mate. You're going to get a nosebleed kicking off at 3 o'clock.
I will do, yeah. And it's a big game for us because obviously 4 games, 4 clean sheets, and 3 wins and a draw. A chance for Newcastle to extend this unbeaten run that they've managed to manufacture with squad rotation, which we all thought may be an issue, but it clearly isn't. Looking forward to Eddie Howe's press conference, of course, at 9:30, where he will be giving us an injury update. Concerns over Dan Burn and Dubravka, who were both ill, so couldn't take part in the Man City game. Sven Botman, of course, had a knee injury, which prevented him from being in the squad the other night. Callum Wilson, tightening of the hamstring, probably the biggest concern for Newcastle fans because of the form that he's in. And Alexander Isak, of course, who limped off in the game against Man City, although he did allay some fears of Newcastle fans at the end when he was interviewed by saying that he should be okay. So yeah, a few injury concerns for Newcastle. Obviously want to know how Joe Linton came through his first game in a few weeks as well. Just looking forward to the press conference because, I think we're all now fully aware of what Eddie's like in front of the press. He gives very little away, but we sometimes get a few gems. So I will be sitting watching that when it goes up live later on and doing a press conference report as well. But yeah, looking forward to it. And we'll be coming to predictions later on.
Question, lads. Do you think that we're going to see the most injuries we've ever seen this season purely because, and it's one for you, Dave, and your referee mafia, as we like to call it, extending the games to absolute ridiculous minutes? Obviously, we've seen a big change from the referees and obviously the football playing time. We've trying to clamp down on time wasting this season, and every game is seeing a lot more injury time added. We're seeing upwards of 10, 12 minutes of injury time, ridiculous. And the average playing time, and thanks to Steve Wraith, the stat master that he is, he's not only the messiah, but the average playing time has risen to nearly 60 minutes this season. Games involving Burnley and Man City are top rankings for the active game time. Then Bournemouth and Luton register low league averages, and then Premier League games averaging at more than 3 goals per game. Have the rule changes improved our game, or are we just going to be seeing more players breaking down because the games are just going far too long now?
Well, yeah, I think the first stat you come out with games in play time now, durations being 60-something minutes, is a massive increase because they're always in the 40s. So, so it's obviously giving chance to score more goals because play's going on longer. So that's probably it's probably a good thing. I know there's a concern in the coaching side, which is what impact this is going to have physically on players because they are playing the game for longer periods. We are seeing 10. It's not unusual now to see 10 minutes added at the end of a half.
It's wild, isn't it? Yeah, 10, 12 minutes after the game. I'm wondering how the players are feeling now. As we start to see the fixtures now roll in with the Champions League, the FA Cup that's upcoming, we've obviously got the 2 Northeast teams doing the Carabao Cup run. The fixture lists aren't slowing down, but the games are getting longer. Surely that means, Steve, that players are going to start breaking down more than we've ever seen?
Yeah, there's going to be more injuries. I think we've covered it a few times about players being, fitter and, going through more stringent routines, training routines, etc., which makes them more susceptible to injury. But more game time is good. It's what the rule changes wanted. Are the rule changes working? I would say yes, they are. For me personally, you pay your money. You want to see as much of the game as possible. And Burnley and Man City have got the top rankings for active game time this season. Bournemouth and Luton, they are registering the low averages, and a lot of people felt it was targeted at clubs who've got good game management.
Yeah, the time wasters.
People were pointing at Newcastle saying that they're good at that, but lots of teams do it. It's always been part and parcel of the game. It's not just a Newcastle thing. It's not new. Where people have wasted time for years. If you're 1-0 up with a minute to go, you're not gonna suddenly go for goal and have an attack. No. You're going to try and keep the ball in the corner and waste a little bit of time. So from my perspective, I think this particular rule change has been a good one. I think it is working. It's clearly working, and as I say, it's an entertainment. Fans are getting more value for money. They're getting a chance to go and watch more of a game, and it's a bit like the Carabao Cup we were talking about the other day. The rule change they brought into that, stopping extra time, stopping replays, and just going straight to penalties. We're now seeing. I mean, I think that was probably the other night when Newcastle played. There was no penalty shootouts, and that's because everybody just goes for it, and I think it's more conducive to a good game. I mean, the game between, was it Blackburn and Cardiff, was a real humdinger, proper cup. It was a proper cup tie, and I think that's what you want. So some rule changes are great. Some rule changes do help the game. Some rule changes are an absolute waste of time. I think we know that one of the rule changes at the start of this season was not having two people in the technical area at the same time. Well, everybody is abusing that, and that is literally just gone from being quite strict at the start to just, I think referees and fourth officials and linesmen are just not paying attention to that, lads.
That's been in there for a while, and I tell you what, it does cause conflict, and that was when I was still active, the rule was only one member of the coaching staff can come to the edge of the technical area, pass on instruction, then they must go and return and sit back down. And that was horrible. I mean, you're going up to a manager saying, sit down, say something or sit down. Say so. It was stupid, and a big game I had to referee in Asia, which was that one in front of 110,000. I had to stop a game in front of a crowd that size because my fourth official got a bit busy. I had to go and tell both managers to sit down, who were behaving themselves perfectly, but they were just standing there with their arms folded at the edge of the technical area, but they weren't passing on instruction. So I suppose that it's been brought in to stop half a dozen people shouting and screaming at the edge of the technical area. That's what it's been brought in for.
And to stop Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, both current managers of Newcastle, to be working together. Is that right, Steve?
Ooh.
Well, I just think Newcastle United's management team have got a certain way of going about things. I saw a bit of a fallout over Tindall shaking Pep's hand before Eddie Howe the other day. I mean, those two work together. They've always worked together. They've got a partnership. They're like Clough and Taylor. They've got an understanding. They both appreciate the job that each other does. And Eddie Howe's the manager in all but name. I think Tindall shares an equal billing in that dressing room. And there is just a mutual respect. And if it works for them, then why should anybody judge it? If Eddie Howe was unhappy, I'm sure he would tell Jason Tindall, know your place, and that would be it. So there's no issue. But yeah, Newcastle certainly felt, I think, that that particular rule change was targeted at them, but it just seems to be ignored. I mean, it's like the 6 second rule. That's still in the rule books, I believe. Your goalkeeper can't hold the ball for more than 6 seconds. Well, that's gone the journey, because football and games dictated that. Referees, would have been given, would have been blowing the whistle every 6 seconds. The way it was working out. It's just one of those rules. Some of these rules just tend to get ignored by football, and the authorities just say, oh yeah, you're right. Let's just ignore that and let's just move on. It's crazy, really.
When you think about it, though, if these, I'll call them minor rules, laws, whatever you want to call them. This 6 second rule, the standing on the edge of a technical area, the all that sort of stuff, which is really, I suppose it's more administrative and technical than anything to do with what's going on the pitch. But if a referee was to clamp down every single time a goalkeeper held the ball for 6.5 seconds, you'd have mayhem.
You would do.
You would.
You'd have absolute
and if they
mayhem.
if they were stopping play to go over and make sure that there's only one manager in the dugout as well, do you know what I mean? Can you imagine if the referee is paying more, more attention to the sideline rather than what's happening?
And
what do you do?
What do you do if you've, your fourth officials warned them a couple of times, fellas, you got to sit back down. Fellas, you got to sit back down.
Yeah.
And then he gets fed up because he gets a mouthful of abuse each time he's doing it. And then he reports it to the referee. So the referee's got to come over publicly now and say, stop standing on the edge of the 6-yard line, the technical area. And then during the game, the referee sees him still standing there. How many times is it going to happen before you're going to get unnecessary yellow cards dished out? You're going to get managers binned into the stand over standing on the edge of a technical area?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but the laws are the laws.
Change it.
The laws are the laws.
Change it.
And they're there to be respected. Whether it's 10 yards from a free kick, what happens in the situation of a quick free kick, all that sort of stuff. IFAB every year tried to make things black and white, and they desperately tried with offside, and you'll never ever do it. There is so much grey area in interpretation and application of the laws that you'll never make it black and white. Never.
No.
It's interesting to see, and I think it's something they need to sort of. I don't know if it needs to be addressed, but I think there's obviously natural progression through as the season goes on that the referees seem to. I guess they seem to realize, okay, this isn't going to work if I'm stamping on this, and this isn't going to work, especially. From game to game and different grounds and different stadiums and the abuse and all that sort of stuff. And obviously the ebb and flow. And I think there's a human nature to it as well. And it needs to be sort of, I think it needs to be adjusted. It's obviously, there's a rule book there to protect the referee at the end of the day and to make sure that they have got the rules there, that they can enforce them if needed. But I think there's also got to be a bit of common sense, which I think there is. Unfortunately, the common sense isn't sometimes there with the VAR, but we don't have that in the Championship. But
well, what about handball? When is a handball, and when is it not?
That's the worst one.
There's so much debate. There's so much time spent now. Focusing on, is it a handball? Is it not? Is it a natural position? All that sort of consideration that has to go in. Why don't we just focus on playing football?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole handball thing is crazy. You made it. We've made points about it week after week after week on here about a ball that hits a defender's arm in a certain position, and a penalty's given. But then the same thing will happen the following week, and a penalty's not given. There's no consistency in that particular rule. The Anthony Gordon one, was people were debating that at the weekend, where he kept the ball in. It wasn't deliberate though. He didn't deliberately move his hand towards the ball to keep the ball in, and then lay the ball back to Sean Longstaff for him to score the first goal against Sheffield United. But the problem as well, and this is what we've got to remember, is that referees on the pitch only have that split second to make the decision. So they're only human. They make the decision, and then it goes to if it goes to VAR, because it doesn't always go to VAR, then those people have got the benefit of different camera angles. So again, it's the VAR officials who need to get things right. The man in the middle is always going to be in the same position. He is never going to have that opportunity to say, he's never going to have a second chance to get his decision right. So it's then up to the VAR officials to say, right, you need to go and look at the screen, and this is the interpretation of the law is this is what that is a handball. So yeah, look, it's. We'll never agree, and we'll never get everything 100% right.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that really works with 99.9% accuracy is the goal line technology.
I like
that's the only one.
I like the goal line technology. I
do too.
It's instant, and I've always said this before we started looking at VAR. When it first was mooted that it was gonna, they were going to start doing it, I was thinking, football's not the game to stop and have long pauses to make decisions. Any technology that comes into the game has to be instant. And goal line technology gives you that. Ball crosses the line, referee's watch vibrates, he knows it's crossed the line. Bang. Whistle, point, goal, whatever you got to do, it's a goal. But stopping a game, a referee running over from the far side of the pitch to have a look at a monitor and then give us another replay, give us another angle, and everybody's standing there wondering what the hell's going on, kills the game, kills the atmosphere, kills the flow, kills absolutely everything. And I'm all for getting decision making right, but we're already at a position of something like 98% accuracy in all decision making on average across a football match. You're always going to have human error. So we're really going to be spoiling the spectacle and the entertainment level of a game of football just to increase the accuracy by 0.5% or something like that. I don't know, mate. I don't know, but I don't like it.
Do you think the referees are also now? I don't want to use the word struggling, but obviously the games are now obviously they're not only going longer for the players, but they're also going longer for the ref that's running up and down the pitch the whole game as well. Do you know what I mean? We're talking longer games now that the referee. Are we going to see more injuries to referees? I know this might be a silly question and people might laugh at it, but I am generally curious to see if, with longer game time, are we going to be wearing down these players that are already fully booked with fixtures? You can't put too much more football into the average Premier League footballer's calendar, because literally when you're a Champions League club, you've got Champions League, Carabao Cup. If you go on a cup run in the FA Cup as well, you've got 4 or 5 competitions there that you're playing football in, meaning games that are most likely going to be Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's refs there that have to do the same thing. Do you know what I mean? And there's refs and not only are the refs obviously, having to be out there for longer, but they also travel just as much, if not more, than the clubs. I mean, refs can be booked, up and down the countryside. So they're on a plane, sometimes they're on a bus, unlucky Pep, and they're having to travel just as, if not further, as a referee, only to be out there running, longer as well. So it's incredible to see what effect it might have on the referee contingent as well.
Shortage of referees as well.
Yeah, there is. We used to have about 33,000 at all levels in the country, but that's dropped below 30,000 now. And there's big recruitment drives just to try and get people back into refereeing. I think up here in the northeast, we're in a healthier position than some other areas. The local county FAs do a great job up here for recruitment, and I often see when they're running referee courses for people to start at the very basic level. So their initial training, I see them all sold out, done and dusted. So there's good work going on in this part of the world. But yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of people laugh and think, referees and fitness. They don't have to tackle. They don't have to chase back. The referee covers more ground on a football pitch than any football.
You try running that long, yeah, exactly.
Because they've got to be in the penalty area. They've got to be at the other end of the ground at the penalty area. They've got to be following counter-attacks. They've got to be... It's all to do with positioning as well to get best view. They can't run in a straight line all the time because they've got to... obviously they've got to avoid players in their way, but they've got to keep the ball in view at all times. And if that ball switches play, they're constantly sidestepping, backstepping, running, sprinting, getting into position. It's a tough job physically. Not a lot of people take that into account because not a lot of people watch a referee's performance during a game unless he blows a whistle and then we disagree with his decisions. That's the only time you tend to focus on them. But you're right. It's the physical nature of what they're doing, and there's been great strides in improving referees' fitnesses and conditioning at the highest levels. And yeah, they're there to have people to have a pop at, but it's just the nature of the job.
It is, unfortunately.
Europe,
tonight, lads.
Europe are 2 up on the 8th hole, 2 up on the 7th hole, 2 up on the 7th hole again, and they are 1 up on the 6th hole. So it's all going well.
There's a Ryder Cup update. Wow.
Happy
Steve,
days.
the avid golfer.
But
we have got football tonight.
I've just headbutted the microphone and it's fallen out. There you go. I've just fixed it. There we go. Yeah.
Go on, Ray. What have we got tonight, Ray?
We got Ryder, but we got Sheffield Wednesday hosting Sunderland. Obviously, Northeast Brekky fans, and we know there is a few Mackems out there. We appreciate you. It's been a bit of a slow news week for you. Obviously, we've had all the Carabao Cup competition not in, but I don't want to rub salt into your wounds there. Okay, you have got Sheffield Wednesday tonight in a game you would be confidently going in expecting to win. Because the hosts, obviously Sheffield Wednesday, have endured a very difficult start to life in the second tier and still searching for their first win. Obviously Sheffield coming off the back of a 3-0 loss to Swansea. And just get this, Sunderland fans as well, in that game, Sheffield Wednesday registered 1 shot on target. Just 1. So, interesting there. Sheffield sit obviously rock bottom of the league with just the 2 points from the attainable 24. And Sunderland, meanwhile, they had a slow start to their season. You guys bounced back, but unfortunately are coming off a 1-0 loss to Cardiff in their last game at home. So visitors, obviously being Sunderland, 5th in the league table, and it'll be interesting to see how much Sunderland can get over the bottom place Sheffield at the moment. Now, I obviously coming off a fresh Middlesbrough draw against Sheffield Wednesday, have not seen much worse football than I've ever seen on that Tuesday night down in Sheffield. It was, and I'm going to be honest here with Sunderland fans, and if you're not too sure what that game was about, that was one of the poorest games of football I've ever sat down and watched. Was Sheffield Wednesday versus Middlesbrough. The first 45 minutes in particular was absolutely horrendous. I've never seen, I could have gotten out there and I think I could have, I put one pass in and it would have been the best registered pass of the half. It was incredible to see how poor it was. And Sheffield Wednesday are really, really struggling. So I'll be expecting Sunderland to get on a big win here, obviously away from home, but I'm still thinking Sunderland should have the firepower to completely outmuscle Sheffield, especially with Jack Clark and those have the likes in the midfield as well. So, yeah, it's incredible to see some of these stats that the Sheffield Wednesday, and we talk about Luton, we talk about Burnley, and we talk about obviously Sheffield United up in the Premier League, but down in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday are starting to break some numbers as well. So the Owls are now the lowest scoring side in English second tier by this stage of the season, with scoring only 5 times. So it's the first time ever. And Sunderland obviously have scored 15 goals. So just to give you some comparison there as well. So last time you guys met was in the Carabao Cup clash in August last year, which Sheffield won 2-0. So there you go. Sheffield have got the bragging rights. And there's been 128 competitive meetings between the two teams, with Sunderland leading at 50-49. Can you believe it? So Sheffield Wednesday looking to equal things up there tonight. But lads, I'm going for a comfortable Sunderland victory. We've obviously got Friday night football down at Sheffield, down at Hillsborough. A long trip, obviously, for the Sunderland fans, but one that I'm thinking they should be going down quietly confident over getting a victory. How do you see this one playing out, Steve?
Well, this has got a huge backdrop of issues at Sheffield Wednesday. The rock bottom of the Championship, and Sheffield Wednesday owner Deshvan Chansiri has just released another lengthy statement.
Well pronounced.
He nailed it.
I will not inject any more money into the club if I'm being treated unfairly. Those fans who create trouble to the club and myself and believe that they are the real owner of the club need to be responsible for the financial matters of the club from now on. If they can take such financial responsibility to save the club, and they believe that I am not the right owner, they may propose any buyer who I believe can operate the club for the benefit of all stakeholders going forward. Not a happy ship, Sheffield Wednesday at the moment. He also goes on to say that all I want and all I ever wanted is the best for Sheffield Wednesday, and if anyone wishes to invest and come and do a better job, then we can talk. So this backdrop of misery at Sheffield Wednesday is not good at all.
No.
Sunderland, to be honest, they had that little run. They looked unstoppable at one point after a shaky start. They then lost, as you say, to Cardiff 1-0.
Played all right though.
Yeah, I mean, Cardiff came and did a job on them, and it's not the first time they've done that. Can they turn it on against Sheffield Wednesday? I would say they probably can. I think that it's a Friday night game. It's under the lights. I think in the northeast it always feels extra special. Looking at the league table, Sunderland sitting in 5th on 13 points. Sheffield Wednesday bottom on 2 points. But this is at Sheffield, isn't it? This game, it's away. So
Hillsborough.
I'm going to go for a Sunderland win. I think Sunderland will get the points tonight. I think it'll be mayhem down there for Sheffield Wednesday. I think they'll be protesting against the owner.
They will.
I'm going to go
tennis balls.
I'm going to go 3-1 Sunderland.
3-1 Sunderland.
I'm going the same margin. But I think it'll be a clean sheet. I think it's going to be 2-0 Sunderland.
Yeah, I'm going 2-0 Sunderland as well. I think it's going to be another performance down there for Sunderland. I think they're going to be looking to bounce back from a very highly defensive, as Steve touched on, their Cardiff, and looking to get their strike force going. And Mogga, obviously, we've heard him in the presser yesterday as well. So let's hear what Mogga's thoughts are going into Sheffield Wednesday.
They're all big games. It's it's a tough fixture. Sheffield are fighting for their lives at the moment. They're having some results that they'll want to improve on, and so that we know that they will be right up for the next game. They've got a big stadium, big crowd, emotional, passionate supporters, and we have to go there and make life difficult for them and see if we can dominate and see if we can find a way to win. We've been doing that okay over recent weeks, and so we'll go there with the belief and the confidence that we can go to Sheffield and win. But that said, we know it's going to be tough.
Yep, got to say thanks to SEFC.com for that, and you can hear more from Mogger and catch up the latest news on the club website. There's a bit of confidence in him, isn't there?
There is, yeah. Though he seems to, and as you would do, going to the bottom of the league. You know, Sheffield Wednesday, we've seen probably the worst performances out of any team this season. It has been Sheffield Wednesday. They're in a bit of a mess, obviously, on the pitch and off the pitch. Their manager's begging the fans to stick with him. We're seeing protests of tennis balls being thrown on the pitch. Sunderland fans, if you are travelling, expect that to happen again tonight. We saw it.
New balls, please.
You're a tennis player. Go to Hillsborough tonight. You'll get a year's supply of tennis balls.
You will. You'll get fresh green tennis balls thrown on the pitch that you can happily go and collect. But you will see that protest again because Sheffield Wednesday are just obviously not a happy club. And unfortunately, find themselves at the bottom end of the table with a very, very poor offensive record, let alone defensive record as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. And obviously, Mogger saying it's still going to be a tough test, one not to be taken lightly. And I think that's smart, obviously, observation. And Mogger hoping to bounce back, hoping to get his players firing. In the presser, he did say that he was looking for his players to shoot from longer ranges as well. He was begging that players don't need to shoot from inside the 6-yard box. Have a ping from 25 yards out, said Mogger. Sometimes they go in. So might see a few long-range goals from Sunderland tonight as Mogger pleading with his boys to start shooting from all different angles where he thinks they've got open space and room to shoot. Don't be afraid to have a ping. So,
I think his point was that we're trying to score the perfect goal every time. So he wants them to be a little bit more direct when the opportunity comes.
A little bit more Riley McGree.
Of course.
No, but good luck to Sunderland, and obviously we'll be watching of the Northeast. And obviously, if you are a Mackem, get your thoughts in on the WhatsApp and let us know how you're feeling on your trips to Sheffield. If you are making the trip on a Friday night, have a safe and a fantastic travel. But yeah, we're all three of us here, sitting here, expecting Sunderland to be the victors.
Yeah, and lots more action coming this weekend, of course. Newcastle Borough in action, and we've got the FA Cup third round qualifiers with a handful of North East teams in. We'll have a look at them after we've raised a bit of money. So we'll do a few little adverts, boys and girls, and let's not forget more footy chat tonight with the second most important football show on the radio in the Northeast. We have the small matter of Lee Clark, Craig Hignett and Darren Williams. They are called the Three Legends, and they're on at 6 tonight. Clark.
My debut 1990 September, Bristol City away, to get that opportunity what thousands of Geordies only dream of.
Hignett.
Playing against Chelsea and to score the first goal there is something that still lives with me now, and it's what most people will talk to me about.
Williams.
A first goal for Sunderland away at Leicester. It was a left foot volley. I didn't realise my left foot was for kicking the ball with it as well. I thought it was just for standing up.
Across the Northeast, it's the Three Legends.
Fridays at 6 on the Cat, the Red and the Toon. Now then, do you do sales? Do you fancy a great career challenge? Well, the Red, the Cat and the Toon has a full-time vacancy for a special sales exec. Not only will you be responsible for generating the vital revenue needed to see the Northeast's newest radio business grow, but you'll grow too. Show us you can do the business and you'll soon become Group Sales Director. Our stations are flying. We have the Three Legends back on air. Then there's the one that most are talking about, the Northeast Footy Brekky Show. And there's more to come. Gumption and creativity count more to us than years. You may only have 2 or 3 years selling experience, but if you get what we're trying to achieve, you will be the right fit. You'll ideally be located in Tyneside or Wearside. This will be a hybrid working role. It's a full-time basic plus commission position. So come on, think you have what it takes? Then give us a shout. Email any of the 3 stations. That's hello@thetoonuk.com, hello@thecatuk.com, or hello@thereduk.com.
Steve and Rye, the Northeast Footy Breakfast.
The Cat, the Toon and the Red.
Gentlemen. So where are we going next? Are we doing Borough or are we doing Newcastle?
Well, I've got a couple of comments.
Look at that!
I want to talk about the Borough.
I've got a couple of comments about just because we did ask people for their partnerships.
Oh, go on then. Go.
Alan Laidlaw says Shearer and Ferdinand is the correct answer. John Campbell says Shearer and Ferdinand by a country mile. Bill Croney says Terry Hibbert and Supermac. Robbie Clear, who's clearly hungover, says Niall Quinn and Ravanelli. I don't think they ever played together. Craig James says Beardsley and Cole, Shearer and Ferdinand. John Drew says Peter Beardsley and Andy Cole, and Emma Thomas says Shearer and Ferdinand were electric. Just a shame that it didn't last for a few seasons. Who knows what Newcastle could have done. So
and of course, Steve Wraith posted that question on Newcastle United fans are here.
Just on my personal
Socials.
Twitter, but I did hashtag SAFC and Middlesbrough's Football Club as well. Not one comment.
Well, if you'd shared with us the fact you were going to drive through that question this morning, we could have had football cancelled for the rest of the year, and while in the mayhem you were going to insist on driving that question through no matter what, we could have prepared ourselves. We could have.
Well, maybe all these Borough fans are in Australia. They're all out with Ryan. They're all getting ready to crack a beer open and put a shrimp on the barbie. Whereas Newcastle fans are all going to work.
I'm a bit jet lagged from the overnight trip to see Michael as well. So yeah, it is a bit.
This is it.
Yeah, about that time.
Yeah. Come on, then let's have what's Borough up to this weekend.
Middlesbrough are off to Watford. Obviously, we are looking for another magnificent victory as Middlesbrough after the last two performances, seeing Middlesbrough starting to click, according to Michael Carrick. Middlesbrough will travel down to Watford full of confidence, hoping that they can get the 3 points as we start to take on a tricky Watford team. Obviously, Watford sitting in 16th, and it's about this time that I reckon Watford fans will know this all too well, 8 matches in, that Valerian Ismail will probably be sitting there where he starts to talk about his future. Obviously, Watford like to change their managers more than they do my underwear, and I tell you, it's incredible to see Watford down in 16th under Valerian Ismail, and unfortunately, they did have a massive win, thrashing Queen's Park Rangers on the opening day of the season, but since then, Watford have only delivered just one win in 7 games, which was a 2-0 win over Birmingham Sydney. So interesting to see, obviously, Watford not being able to fire after doing some big recruitment and obviously replacing their manager as well. So, yeah, look, interesting what it's going to be here. We've got Middlesbrough obviously sitting in 22nd on a bit of a comeback trail from Southampton. And obviously we saw the midweek win victory over Bradford. Middlesbrough starting to hit their stride, starting to play Carrick ball against a lowly Watford, where, would ask if you were a Watford fan, if Middlesbrough do get the victory this weekend, probably questions start sneaking in against Ismail because it's just a Watford thing to do. The one positive thing for Watford, though, is it's just 3 strikes that have been shipped in 5 fixtures at Vicarage Road, but that will be put to test against the resurgent Borough tonight. So, yeah, from having the best defensive record in the division early stages of the 23-24, Watford have now conceded 8 times in just 4 outings. So hopefully Michael Carrick's team and the Borough can get above that. Obviously, we are still remaining far below where we're expected as the Borough. We are sitting in the 22nd spot, nevertheless, but we have collected 4 points from games with Sheffield Wednesday and Southampton, and it's lifted the mood at the Riverside Stadium and obviously around the Borough as well. And there were doubts obviously starting to emerge, but long they may be buried, the doubts after a magnificent win, if we're talking in the league, against Southampton on the weekend, seeing the likes of Johnny Howson back to his best in the midfield with Hayden Hackney. Middlesbrough will be without 3 players tonight in Marcus Forss, Alex Bangura, and most likely Rav Vandenberg. Unfortunately, Rav Vandenberg, the new right back, left back, wherever you want to play him, unfortunately has a neural issue with his upper hamstring. So unfortunately, without Rav Vandenberg, Marcus Forss and Alex Bangura, but other than that, we should have a full squad to pick from. We saw a lot of changes midweek for the Bradford. We probably will see some changes come back into the league. And hopefully, we can see, the Carrick's team starting to gain and get up that table. I'm expecting us to be in the playoffs in a couple of weeks. I think it's not too, we'll be winning the Carabao Cup this season as well. It's going to be a big year. And I think a prolonged cup run has done nothing but help the confidence of the Borough fans and the team as well. Michael has said in his presser yesterday that it's starting to click, and I was there at the presser, and he seemed very happy, 1, to see me, and 2, with the boys and what he's seen on the training pitch so far this week, and he's very, very excited, and he just said the more football the better, because he thinks he can get the boys are just absolutely clicking now. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going for a Middlesbrough win. I think we're just back on the bounce, lads. I think we are playing Carrick ball to the best. I think Watford are there for the taking. They had the thrashing on the opening day, but they haven't had now a win in a few weeks, and obviously they are starting to ship some goals in as well. And I think it's just classic Watford, but Ishmael's going to be sacked as manager in the next couple of weeks. It's just classic Watford. I mean, the 16th, unless they're winning the league by 16 points by now, Ishmael was going to get sacked. So I think Middlesbrough are going to win tonight, and I think tomorrow night, and I think we're going to go 3-1 for the Borough. I'm going the classic 3-1. Classic one, and I think Middlesbrough we'll probably ship in a goal. We like to let in a goal, but we will be back with the buoyant Riley McGree, Izzy Jones as well on the wing, Joshy Coburn up front. We're starting to fire. We've found our team, and Middlesbrough to climb up the table this weekend once again with a good victory over Watford. Lads.
Go on, Dave.
I can't be as confident. I've not done the digging that I should before I open my gob, but I just have a feeling Vicarage Road's never been a happy hunting ground, or it's rarely produced a happy hunting ground for us. I just have this nagging doubt that we can't win. We can't win at the weekend. I'm putting my money on a 1-1 draw. I think we'll come back with something. But I just can't see us eking out a win. I don't know why. Maybe I've just been scarred over the decades, of visits to Watford. So, I'm splinter bum time. 1-1 draw.
On the fence. Interesting. Well, that's to answer your question as well. Middlesbrough and Watford have played off in 22 games since 1999, and Watford have won 10, Middlesbrough have won 6, and we have drawn 6 as well in total.
Is that at their place, or is that in total?
That is in total. So let me get the stats for you at Vicarage Road while we hear the thoughts of Steve. What do you reckon? Are the Borough going to get back-to-back wins in the Championship?
Interesting, it. Confidence is the key. It's one of those games which Dave is right. It's a potential banana skin. Nobody likes going to Watford, no matter how well or badly they're performing. But the tails will be up. I'm going for a narrow 1-0 win for Borough. I think they will get a win today. Tomorrow.
Shout.
I think it's going to be a very tight game. It's going to be a close game. But I do think Borough's got enough in the tank to do this, and I think it's a great opportunity to get 3 results on the bounce for Michael Carrick. But the fact that he hasn't flapped when the chips were down, I think it's got there with the team now. I think the team get it. It's just taken that little bit of time. That they seem to be slow starters, and Watford haven't knocked any houses down in this first part of the season. No. They're only sitting 4 points ahead of Middlesbrough. So this isn't a top versus bottom game. Like the Sunderland game is at the weekend. So go on. I'm going to go Borough 1-0 winners at the weekend.
I love the cut of your cloth, mate. Love the cut of your cloth.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Should we have a listen to your best mate? Sorry, Ryan. Should we have a listen to your second best mate?
I'd love to hear about it once again, because I was there in presence, but I'd love to hear from Michael and what he had to say.
And this is what he had to say about Watford.
Yeah, it's obviously a new game. The boys are in a good place. We've had a good week. We've trained well. They're hungry for more. We're not getting carried away. I think we've cracked it all of a sudden, but it's the boys are in a good place. Looking forward to the game. It's a tough game. Every game in this league is a tough game anyway. But they've got some real threats, good individuals that can twist games, turn games at any moment. So we'll have to be alive and alert and perform to our level, really, to give us a good chance.
Full press conference available from mfc.co.uk if you want to have a full listen to Michael Carrick. But again, it's a little bit like Mogger. There's a bit of a skip in his step there in his voice.
Oh yeah, no, he's up and about, his old Michael, and he was having a bit of joke with the press at the press conference yesterday, especially with me in attendance, and he was having a bit of laugh with the reporters, and it was good to see. And he's saying it's an up place, and he said it hasn't really changed. He said internally the club has been exactly the same as it was from day one of the season. He said obviously results haven't been what he wanted, but he said like the internal feeling, the camaraderie, the morale hasn't waved, and it was great to see Michael being able to be upbeat and having a bit of a joke in the press conference with, I'd say, a little bit of weight off his shoulders after a couple of victories. And to answer Dave as well, in the obviously the Vicarage Road test, which you have rightly pursued, Middlesbrough have not won at Vicarage Road since 2012, 28th of April 2012.
Wow. 11 years.
So it has been a long time since Middlesbrough have won over at Vicarage Road. In the last 5 meetings, Watford have done the job, only to have had a draw 0-0 in January of 2017, but the rest have been Watford victories by 1-0. So yeah, Middlesbrough's going against the odds here tonight, trying to get a win. Tomorrow night at Vicarage Road, because the stats are not too good down at Vicarage Road. So you have got a good point there, but I still am confident that the mighty Borough will get up and get us back up the table. On to Newcastle, Steve.
Yeah, big thanks to Steve Foster. He says Mark McGee and Mickey Quinn were the best partnership. That's a great shout, Steve. Great shout. But anyway, moving on to Newcastle versus Burnley. And it's a great opportunity to record a third successive Premier League victory and clean sheet when the Clarets visit St James's Park for a good old-fashioned 3 o'clock kick-off. Full house at St James's Park again tomorrow. As for injuries, well, we await Eddie Howe's press conference this morning to find out who's in and who is out. We do know that Burnley are going to be missing Lyle Foster. He is suspended. Ekdal, Goodmanson, Obafemi, Benson and Cherlinov are all on the injury list for Burnley. Ahead of the visit to Tyneside, Burnley did make the short journey to Salford in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday. They ran out 4-0 winners there, but the league form has been absolutely atrocious, just like all the other teams that got promoted from the Championship. Not one win amongst them. Burnley have got a solitary point. That came from a 1-1 draw at Nottingham Forest. That's their only Premier League away game to date, so tomorrow will be their second. Other teams that they've played this season, Man City, Aston Villa, Spurs, Man United, all ended with the visitors leaving Turf Moor with 3 points. Referee tomorrow, new guy in charge of a Newcastle game. Never had him before. Thomas Bramall from Manchester. He has previously taken charge of Newcastle's under-21 games. This is his 10th Premier League game that the 33-year-old has been in charge of. He's just over a year after his first one, so a relatively new referee, but definitely a new one for Newcastle. VAR, which is often switched off at St James's Park, is Gerard Gillette. What do I think is going to happen tomorrow? I think Newcastle will win. I think it'll be comprehensive. I think there'll be a clean sheet. I think Burnley have got a couple of good wingers, but they haven't got anybody to put the ball in the back of their net, which is their problem. I think Newcastle will keep a clean sheet, and I think Newcastle United will win 3-0 tomorrow.
Interesting. I am actually going for a shock result here. No, Newcastle are going to win. It's Burnley. They have only got 1 point on the board, and I just think Newcastle are too strong. The key for me is obviously going to be Anthony Gordon for Newcastle. He's been absolutely scintillating when it's been tuning in and watching him obviously come off the bench midweek, but obviously again against Sheffield United as well. So Burnley are in for a big long day trying to contain one player in Anthony Gordon. But the one thing I must mention is obviously my good mate Aaron Ramsey over at Burnley. We follow each other on Twitter. We're good friends. I've got a lot of good mates, but Aaron Ramsey obviously was on loan at the Borough. I do love you, Aaron, and I know you've made a big move over to Burnley, and I hope that it's going well. He's one to watch for you there as well, Steve, is Aaron Ramsey. He's been one of the starting midfielders.
Sick note.
I think he can cause a few problems in the Premier League this season, but not against Newcastle, and I'm going for a Newcastle win. So
what's he going to do? Invade the pitch when he's not playing? I mean, he's the new Darren Anderton.
4-0.
4-0.
Okay.
One more than me.
4-0.
I think it's an easy one. Although Eddie Howe in his press conference today will say there's never an easy game in the Premier League. It's an easy one.
Yep.
3-0, comfortable stroll.
Yeah,
you're not going to be hitting the heights of 8s again, but yeah, comfortable. 3-0, dead easy.
Do not forget, guys, if you're going to the game tomorrow, get yourself over to Strawberry Place, go to the food bank, make sure you stick some money in the buckets, because every penny that goes and every pound that goes into the buckets, Jamie Rubin continues to match all cash donations. So it's double bubble from one of our directors for the food bank.
Yeah.
And while I'm talking about charity, do not forget, next week is National Curry Week, and at Raval Restaurant, just up the Tyne Bridge in Gateshead, from the 2nd to the 7th of October. They are celebrating. They are going to give the equivalent of a chicken tikka masala every time one is bought to feeding families in Gateshead, and I think it's a great idea. And Dave and I will, technology allowing us, will be broadcasting live from Raval on Monday morning. We will have a chicken tikka masala. We will have chicken tikka masala in front of us.
Yep.
We're hoping to have somebody on from the charity to explain where the money is going to, and we're also hoping that Naz Islam, who is the manager at Raval, will have a few words to say about the link up between Newcastle United fans and Curry next week. And anybody wants to book a meal to help this cause, go to ravaluk.com, and if you use the code NUFC Matters 2023, they'll give you 20% off. Ooh. So get yourself over to the website and book your curry for next week.
And the man who's got to try and hold all the technicals together has joined us. Good morning, Daz.
Good morning. How we doing, gentlemen?
Hello,
morning,
Daz.
How's things? All right?
I've just seen that Newcastle top hanging in the office down at the Red. It looks lovely.
Yeah. Every day we come in and have to look at that. It's this.
Are you on the turn?
Need to sort that out. Sort that out for me there, Daz. But yes, I am a little bit jet lagged, mate. Took the private jet over to see the Carrick presser overnight, so a little bit jet lagged, but doing good.
We saw
feel like one flew over the cuckoo's nest listening to this bloke this morning, Daz.
Hey, I tell you what, before we go, fellas, there's the not so small matter of the third qualifying round of the FA Cup. And we've got a handful of North East sides who are involved. To stretch the term North East Derby as much as we can, we've got Whitby Town hosting Morpeth. They're probably the two most extremes. Ashington as well would have a shout, but there you go. So Whitby Town, Morpeth Town, Blythe Spartans are at home. They're hosting Worksop Town. Darlow are at home. They're hosting Scarborough Athletic. And there's a nice, tasty one. Leek Town against high-flying South Shields. So that's an interesting one. Lee Clark, of course, is appearing at South Shields in November. November. Yeah, I thought it was on Saturday. I thought it was tomorrow. I gave him a bit of a heart attack. I said, "You going there tomorrow? Are you going there on Saturday?" And he's like, "It's November, isn't it?" No, it's Saturday. So yeah, League Town South Shields. Shields doing really well in National League North. They're second in the table. With joint top, it's only goal difference that's keeping them off. So some FA Cup involvement there.
Brilliant stuff. Looking forward to it.
No, looking forward to it.
The magic of the club.
Good.
I'll see if we can catch up. Fingers crossed for our teams. Don't know who you'll go for. Whitby Town against Morpeth Town, but there you go. Probably Morpeth. They're probably they've got a better shout of being in the northeast. But we'll see if we can catch up with one or two of the clubs on Monday.
Great stuff. Look forward to it. Have a good weekend, chaps.
Yeah, we're done and dusted.
Tikka masala.
Yeah, all done and dusted. Daz is up next with mid mornings. All his nonsense.
Yes, and the quiz that is sweeping the nation. Name that theme as well.
Yeah,
I love it. Love it, Daz.
And just to finish on the Borough note, to celebrate the fact that Take That have seen the Riverside Stadium is the premier venue to perform live. They're coming back to the Riverside next year. I think we'll finish with a bit of Take That. See you, boys.
I love it.
Here are the boys.
See you, boys. Have a good weekend.
Have a good one.
Get your curries ready for Monday morning.